I'm going to demo what Chris was alluding to earlier. Um, it's a little bit tricky to demo, but basically, as Chris mentioned, we're messing around with like deep performance optimizations to our Viz, in particular when the Viz is or the data powering the Viz is like especially large. Um, so I guess what we're seeing is a lot of customers are coming in and doing things like select star over a table to just as like to get familiar with the tool to get a starting point to build something, and then they'll take from that select star a couple dimensions and like a measure and build a relatively straightforward viz, but under the hood it's still being powered by a lot of data, right? So this is a dashboard with one chart. I mean, it's got two charts, but one of the charts, the top one, has a lot of data. Um, and it's a little tricky to demo this through video, but if I like resize this thing, you can see my browser is really lagging. Like if I really like, force it to do a lot of work, like all these controls stop interacting. Um, Again, a little tricky to demo because for me it feels really bad, but probably doesn't come through on the screen. Um, so this is very, I would call this alpha. Um, please don't take this as a promise. We need to like figure out a bunch of remaining issues, but we're hopeful that we can ship this and then sometime in the next few weeks or so, or maybe month if it works out. But basically, this flag can't type and talk at the same time. um, so under the hood, what we're doing here is we've shifted all of the calculation for building a viz off the user thread and into effectively like what a browser calls a worker, or in regular computer science nomenclature is a thread. Um, and so now the heavy lifting happens elsewhere. It still notably takes the same amount of time basically to update the viz, but it ensures that the UI remains responsive. So as I resize this thing, you can see the browser's keeping up right away. Like as soon as I let go, it takes a second or two to render this thing because it's just, it's still doing a lot of work. But if I click on menus, they all work. So all of my actions still work while this thing's re-rendering in the background. Um, that's pretty much it. Still got to figure out a bunch of things. Like as you might notice, tooltips aren't working right now. Got to figure out some of the legend interactivity. Most of these things we think are solvable problems, so we're hopeful that this is going to see the light of day. But um, I would take this more as like a preview from the labs and not you know, like definitely shipping on Monday.
Would this make it possible to do way more data than 50,000 rows? And this is definitely a give a mouse a cookie question.
50 million rows, Nate.
Um, well, I definitely have a memory leak, and the memory leak right now lets the tab get to about 8 gigs of memory, and then it crashes the tab. So we can do up to about 8 gigs of data.
I mean,
When
that sounds
I,
awesome.
yeah, well, I mean, don't let's not ship 8 gigs of
No,
data
no,
to the browser,
no.
please.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, and I mean, I would also emphasize like this is like a worst case scenario. I think we should also continue to refine the way we
Yeah,
like you have that great PR, Jamie, that I absolutely think we should continue to pursue, where if
yeah,
a user is really only selecting two dimensions in a measure, let's reaggregate that on the
yeah.
server and make that a lot more
Definitely.
performant. But
Yeah,
but this
I feel like
definitely
all these things
helps.
together. Yeah, all these
Yeah,
things
exactly.
together. Like, yeah, it'd be awesome. Yeah, I'm super stoked.
And I mean, honestly, I think this is the way a modern Viz library should work.
Yeah,
And so we're kind of backporting this relatively new implementation that browsers only like really enabled in the last year or two. to some existing Viz libraries. Okay.
It's super exciting.
Yeah, definitely exciting.